Hey, welcome back. Today, we're checking out... Why is the MI6 building so damn obvious?
There are a few places in London that are notoriously difficult to get into, like the Bank of England's gold vaults, and an NHS dentist, and this, the head office of the British Secret Intelligence Service.
Wow.
But if they're so secretive, then why is their head office so obvious?
Yeah.
There's vantage points from literally everywhere since it's on the Thames, and even if you weren't in London, it wouldn't matter because this thing is plastered all over the James Bond movies.
Right. Yeah. I think I learned about this building from the James Bond movies. I thought it was for the movie. I didn't know it was a real place, and then I saw the thumbnail for this video. Also, it's by the water, which seems like a weakness, but maybe it's not. You know what I mean? What's up with this building?
And even if you weren't in London, it wouldn't matter because this thing is plastered all over the James Bond movies. But try and Google the inside of it and you'll find nothing. No pictures, no floor plans, nada. The windows are all triple glazed and they have this heavy green tint so you can't really see in.
Yeah.
Large parts of the building are underground and apparently there's 2 moats, although I haven't been able to locate them, but I guess that...
2 moats? I don't see 1 moat. But maybe they're underground. Maybe that's part of it. They're hidden moats.
That's part of the mystery. So
Right.
How much do we know about this mysterious organization? If there's MI5 and MI6, what are 1, 2, 3, and 4? And how did a secret organization end up building this? To get to the bottom of this, I'm going to open a very...
Hang on. Y'all. Hey. MI6 is like the 6th one? I didn't know that's why it was called that. I guess I never really thought to ask why it's called that.
Official investigation to find out why, when MI6 was secret, they were very bad at keeping their secrets secret. But now that they're not secret, they're much better at keeping their secrets secret.
Y'all, be sure to go to Luke Sullivan, like and subscribe, and maybe, watch his videos while you can, because this one might get him in trouble, you know what I mean?
The organization in question is the Secret Intelligence Service, aka the SIS, aka MI6, aka Military Intelligence Section 6. Nothing to do with Mission Impossible. Sorry. There actually used to be an MI1 all the way up to MI19.
Oh, okay. Code breaking, Russia-Asia intelligence, Europe intelligence, aerial imagery and mapping, home spies, foreign spies. Okay, that was MI5 and MI6. Home spies, foreign spies. Okay, interesting. Press and propaganda, message spying and censorship, escape and evasion, weapons and tech intelligence, field security, censorship liaison. No information on MI13. Curious. Battle analysis, aerial imagery and air defense, scientific intelligence, admin. No information on MI18 either. What's up with that? POW interrogation. Wow.
Covering everything from intelligence to propaganda and censorship. But after the World Wars, these all got folded into MI5 for domestic affairs like counterterrorism and MI6 for gathering information from other countries.
Okay, that's interesting. So all that stuff I just read got put into either one of these. That's how the United States does it. FBI is for domestic intelligence like MI5, and the CIA is for foreign intelligence. Huh. I guess one or the other figured out that's the best way to do it, or maybe it's more secretive doing it that way, right? Until
1994, they were an official state secret, but it wasn't a very well-kept secret because the idea of the UK having a not-so-secret service was so widespread that it was more just legally a secret. That said, in the past, they've tried various things to try and stay secret, from subtlety to disguises to just being such an obviously bad spot that you just wouldn't think that they would actually be there.
Yeah, maybe that's not where maybe that's just where they keep all the paperwork, like the boring stuff. Maybe that's not really where they are. Maybe they're just secret enough so that people are aware that they exist, so the people they're protecting feel safe, but not so out there that people really know what they're doing. Right? Maybe they're out there just enough so their enemies, like, are a little freaked out. Like, it's a deterrent, right?
Let's take a look at some of them. I'm glad teleportation exists because it's much too hot to be walking around today.
I
Our
wish.
investigation
Oh my
starts
God.
here at Ashley Mansions next to Victoria Station, where we meet Mansfield Smith Cumming, a retired Royal Navy captain with chronic seasickness nonetheless, who is
A naval sea captain with chronic seasickness. Yo, how did he probably ended up behind a desk. That's how he got this job, right? He's not out there on the boat.
chosen for top secret reasons to be in charge of Britain's first permanent foreign intelligence unit in the run-up to World War I. He rented a flat here in 1909, pretty soon after MI6 was founded, saying that an office arouses interest, but a private dwelling calls for no comment. And when it
Brilliant. They just rented a random apartment. Show me on a map. Ashley Mansions. I mean, at least they rented a mansion, right? Ashley Gardens. I don't think that's it. That doesn't look like it. No, it's Ashley Mansions. It's taking me to Ashley Gardens here. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I mean, hey, it's secret. So it's not on Google.
He rented a flat here in 1909, pretty soon after MI6 was founded,
Wow.
saying that an office arouses interest, but a private dwelling calls for no comment. And when it comes to clues, there wouldn't have been any. This would have been an incredibly small operation, and Cumming himself lived in the flat, so it wouldn't have been particularly suspicious to anyone who lived in the building or worked around the building. And walking past today, there is no plaque, there is no suggestion that MI6 was ever here. What eventually brought this place down was size, because as the team grew, the flat was too small, so they had to move here to another apartment block, in which they rented flat 54. This one was 2 Whitehall Court, which was, surprise, in Whitehall.
2 Whitehall Court. Show me on a map. 2 Whitehall Court. Oh, it's very close by. Is that it? Is that it? Oh yes, that looks like it. I want to live there. That looks nice. Wow. Okay. Okay. Very nice. Very nice.
It was bigger than their last flat, and it was closer to important governmenty things. And because it was an actual block of flats and Cumming actually lived here, there weren't any particularly big clues that flat 54 was a secret branch of government. They stayed here from 1911 to 1922, but as MI6 grew, the same problem occurred. They needed more space, so they had to move. After a brief detour to a now very inconveniently for me demolished building in Holland Park, they ended up here at 54 Broadway, which is now renumbered to 50 Broadway, and opposite the old Transport for London offices.
Show me on a map. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, down the street from Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace. Interesting.
This one's interesting. Winston Churchill chose this to be a hub for all of the UK's secret intelligence operations, but with this one's size, they needed a cover story. Clue 1 was that the building had a sign on the front which said it was part of the MI6's fire extinguisher company, but black cab drivers noticed that a large number of government officials were being dropped off at the building every day. Clue 2 is that MI6 actually did exist, and not at this address here. I would have thought MI6 would have found that weird, but I couldn't find any information about it on the interwebs, so I emailed them, and they didn't reply.
So that was a real fire extinguisher company? That would get confusing. Like, what? Are they getting secret, like, packages and stuff?
On the bright side, this one was much bigger, and it was a proper office, so they ended up staying here for over 40 years.
Okay.
But its downfall was that it wasn't particularly secure on the inside, which turned out to be a particularly large problem when some of their agents turned out to be double agents. I'm sure there's already a lot of videos about this, but essentially 5 guys, Kim, Guy, Donald, Anthony and John, were recruited at the University of Cambridge by Russia to start a feed back meaty secrets with unlimited toppings to Moscow.
Nice.
The 5 of them made it into various secret service and government positions.
Hang on. Kim Philby, Guy Burgess, Donald McLean, Anthony Blunt, John Cairncross. Never heard of any of them.
with at least one of them, Kim Philby, making it into MI6. The government found themselves in a bit of a pickle when he burgered off to the Soviet Union.
Nice.
The government tried being the key word, to keep the information a secret, hoping it wouldn't catch up with them down the line. But the situation changed in 1963 when the CIA flipped and leaked the juicy gossip to the press, meaning the government had to confirm the rumours.
Sorry, y'all. We did it.
The situation was so bad that the CIA actually limited the information that they would give to MI6 because they weren't sure they could trust their security. So in 1964, they moved to the most secure location they could find. A tower block with a lot of windows and infinite vantage points and a petrol station and a car park right outside and a public right-of-way through the base.
Yeah.
Perfect. This one's in Lambeth, their first HQ south of the river, and it's since been refurbished into a beautiful apartment block. There were a few clues
modern.
that MI6 was here. The main being that they went back to their original guise of it's just an apartment, except this time it's just an apartment block.
Hang on. Century House, Lambeth. Let's find it. Show. Is that it? That doesn't look like it. Where's Lambeth? Lambeth. Oh. Brixton is what it's showing me. Okay. Getting our bearings.
Of it's just an apartment, except this time it's just an apartment block. Except the thing being that people usually commute from an apartment block, not to an apartment block. While it must have had security measures, they didn't have any visibly obvious ones. It had to appear to be an apartment block after all. So at the end of the day, security was its downfall. It was decided it was irredeemably insecure and that they would have to either move in with MI5 into a central intelligence hub or get themselves a new headquarters. What they may or may not have known at the time is a story was about to break that was going to change the public's perception of MI6 forever and uncover their secrets like never before. But before we get to that, if you're an international spy doing international espionage, you might be sending and receiving quite a lot of top secret data while you travel. Top of your balance. That was different. So, it's the 1980s, there's still no official confirmation that MI6 actually exists. A company called Regalian Properties buys this plot of land in order to develop it, and their government approaches them, suggesting it could be some generic government offices. In order to keep the tenant a secret, the government buys the building outright, all right for some, and Terry Farrell, the building's architect, who also designed this part of Charing Cross Station, sets out to design just a nice general office block that could be used for office things. The 1990s roll around and the world is changing. Until this point, MI6 is largely just vibes based, with no legal guidance of what they should be doing or, more importantly, what they shouldn't be doing. This all became a bit of a controversy when an ex-MI5 officer and assistant director, Peter Wright, wrote a book called Spycatcher, where he accused MI6 of plotting to assassinate President Nasser of Egypt, which is now well corroborated, MI5 of plotting with the CIA to overthrow a Labour Prime Minister by leaking information about him, which is also pretty well corroborated, and Roger Hollis, a former MI5 Director General, of being a Russian spy. Although the government did an investigation into this, and they found that he wasn't. So you could argue they wouldn't tell us, even if he was. The Secret Service tried really hard to suppress the story in the UK, even after it launched internationally. This resulted in things like this really weird blank page review of the book by The Economist that only appeared in the UK, because even discussing the book here was banned. The press then took them to court and won, which made the story then even bigger, which led to people calling for the Secret Services to be held more accountable for their actions. So in 1989, the government legally acknowledged that MI5 existed, and in 1994, they finally acknowledged that MI6 existed.
Wow, so it took a lawsuit with that author or the newspaper? The author. Wow, so if that lawsuit didn't happen, they might still be
for the Secret Services to be held more accountable for their actions. So in 1989, the government legally acknowledged that MI5 existed, and in 1994, they finally acknowledged that MI6 existed. The idea being that they would both now have to operate within the law. In line with this new sort of openness, the new MI6 building here at Vauxhall Cross was very officially opened by Queen Elizabeth II just a few months after MI6 was officially confirmed.
I want to read that. I want to read that blurb.
Opened by Queen
The Queen paid her first visit to the headquarters of MI6 yesterday with her first official visit. With the Duke of Edinburgh, she was invited by the outgoing Chief of the Service, Sir Colin McCall, formally to open the new £150 million headquarters at Vauxhall Cross on the south bank of the Thames. The Queen was briefed on security matters by Sir Colin and the incoming chief, David Spedding. Last year, the Queen paid her first visit to the headquarters of MI5 that we know about.
Elizabeth II just a few months after MI6 was officially confirmed. They immediately said yes to appearing in the James Bond movie GoldenEye, and from then on it's been one of the most high-profile, top-secret buildings in the world. So no need for my top-secret files, I guess. This isn't one of Chris Spargo's bins. Wait a second. Think about it. Google it. We know that they exist. We know where they exist. And we know that they spy. But we already knew that informally. We just didn't know it officially. By throwing away their secret status and simply confirming the...
Was that a pride flag on it? Yeah. Oh, interesting. Wait, what is this? No, that's not a pride flag. What is that? It is a pride flag. Okay. Okay. MI6.
By throwing away their secret status and simply confirming the fact that they do exist, they were able to build a literal fortress in the centre of London.
Yeah,
and their
it
new
is a
fortress was
fortress.
put to the test in the year 2000 when members of the real Irish Republican Army walked up one of the mounds in this park here and fired a Russian-built RPG-22 anti-tank missile at the south side of the building. They thought they were aiming for the infrastructure on top of the building and missed, instead hitting the 8th floor. But the building suffered minimal damage and no injuries were publicly reported.
They got through the
government
glass.
argued whether MI6's
That's
new
all they did.
high profile had made it a target.
Wow, that's it. They just got through the glass. That looks like relatively nothing, doesn't it? September 2000, the building was attacked by unapprehended forces using a Russian-built RPG-22 anti-tank rocket, causing superficial damage. The Metropolitan Police recovered the discarded rocket launcher at Spring Gardens Park in Vauxhall, as well as finding remains of the rocket, which had exploded against an 8th-floor window. Dissident Irish Republicans were believed to have been behind the attack. Oh, so they didn't find them? Writing in the Daily Telegraph after the attack, journalist Alan Judd referred to detractors who wished a less visible physical presence for SIS, writing that both sides of the Whitehall debate might now claim vindication by the rocket attack. On one hand, the building's profile made it an obvious target. On the other, a headquarters with expensive security protection has been shown to be necessary. Yeah, I feel like it's also attracting those attacks. If it was like an apartment like they had in the past, that wouldn't be able to stand up to that attack. And yeah, they probably, maybe they still rent apartments that we don't know about, right? So it's not, those aren't obvious targets.
The government argued whether MI6's new high profile had made it a target for the attack, or if their new fortress has prevented a tragedy. But at the end of the day, we didn't know anything about MI6 that we didn't really know before. When it comes to the building itself, we know what it looks like on the outside, but we don't have the floor plans. We don't know what's inside the building.
Right.
When MI6 moved in, they hired specially vetted contractors to install things like the Faraday cage and the moats around it.
There's a
We don't even
Faraday
have
cage
any
around
pictures. In fact, in 2019, a contractor who was hired to help refurbish the building ended up losing 100 official documents from a secure room, which was obviously considered a major security breach. Most of them turned up in other rooms. The word all was specifically not used. And tonight, can you imagine if I had them? There are even rumours that the MI6 building is linked via a secret tunnel under the Thames to Westminster down here, partially backed up by a £17.5 million black hole in the building's budget.
Oh, yo, that whole top part might just be empty, you know? It might all be underground. It might all be in a whole other building. It might be a decoy.
MI6, on their website, deny this, although they do say we wouldn't tell you if there was. This absolutely boiling hot metal toilet outside of MI6 is a rogue addition to the landscape. Everything in this video can be backed up as far as I can tell. But the interesting thing about this video is how little we know about the subject. I've been working on this for quite a long time, and it's hard not to think about the fact that we don't know how MI6 operates. We don't even know if this is the only place they operate from.
Right.
If I was MI6, I would keep all of my most top secret things in somewhere that people wouldn't really expect, like this strange black windowless tower block right in the centre of London that can't seem to find anything online about. Maybe a flat in your apartment block. Maybe something so obvious you just laugh it off. There are thousands of people working tirelessly on secret missions to keep the UK safe. And the only thing that we know about them is that some of them are here.
Maybe.
Pretty mad, that.
Yeah. Smart.
I kid you not. I think there's a secret agent watching me right now.
They're probably
But he's
watching.
got a Union Jack on the back of his uniform, so it's not that subtle.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I tend to believe that that's not even the building where they are, you know? I think it's a decoy. I think they just, like, store outdated air filters there or something. You know, I maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think they're smart. I think they're smarter than the rest of us. Y'all be sure to go to Luke Sullivan and like and subscribe. I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see y'all next time. Later.